the Amazon Linux distribution, and my website is there, samueloph.dev. My socials are all samueloph. So that's how I got involved with curl. So regarding the timeline of events, right? Well, first of all, wcurl, for those who might not be aware of, wcurl is a very simple shell script that is going to be installed with curl now, and it lets you download files. So that's all that it does. It's wcurl URL, and you download the file. It's something that you can do with curl if you provide the parameters you want, depending on the state you're looking for. But this will make it easier, so it's just a single command. And the idea for wcurl came when I was on the way to curl 2024. So that's why I say it's 1 year. It's when I was in flight, I remember I was thinking, right, so I have to download something, and I'm going to use curl to download it. And then I started struggling a bit because I was reaching out to check which parameters I wanted, and then I thought to myself, is there something that I can do? Because I'm one of the maintainers of curl on Debian. Maybe there's something that I can do, at least for Debian users, to make that easier, you know? So that's where the idea came in. I discussed that idea the first time in the second day of curl. It was over lunch. We were all sitting in the sofa there, eating our lunch. And at the time, the name that I thought for the project was curl D. And the outcome of the discussions we had there was basically that it was worth a try. You know, I can do this on Debian only. I will ship it, and we'll see how it goes. After that, I discussed it again with the other Debian curl maintainers and also other Brazilian Debian developers. And a Brazilian Debian developer only because we have a weekly call, and then I threw out this idea to gather their feedback, and most of them, well, all of them said it might be a good idea because they also struggle with the same issue. Someone raised the point that curl D sounds like a daemon, so Charles suggested that we would use wcurl instead, and that's what we stick with. Sergio, which is the other curl maintainer, he ported it from Bash to POSIX compliant JavaScript. When I first wrote it, it was all Bash, still in the history. So he ported all of the parts that were Bash specific. So the script is more general, it's easier to use. And he also did a bunch of other nice features. So that's why I say that we are co-curators, me and Sergio. The public reception was majority good. I mean, it was clear there was a need for that in the curl survey, and I was quite happy with it. There were some people that were not happy about it, and they kind of fit into 3 categories mostly. So first category is people who say you can do the same with this very simple command, and then they will write a command that does not do the same thing. So you can just do curl -O, and then that's not enough. In some cases it might be, and that is perfectly fine, right? But the point of their argument was that it was very simple to just use this argument, that they would provide an argument that doesn't do everything. Like, for instance, encoding the white space in the URL, for example. In the second case of critics, I will specify people who were saying that this could be fixed on curl directly, and you don't need something else just for that. And I believe that this misses a little bit the point of the need of the users, because curl, the CLI today, will by default throw everything in your kernel. And that is just something that you cannot change. It's going to be impossible to change because you're going to break the other half of the users. So it has to be something else. It has to be another binary. And it has to be something that you can execute without setting any parameters as well. And the third class of feedback is that people that became really angry about it for some reason. The argument was that this goes against the spirit, or that this would enable bad practices the user. And for this, I mean that's fair criticism, but that ship has sailed because people are already using WGANs. Because because they want a single command that does that. So after we released it, we had a lot of help from the community, and I really wanted to call out a few examples here because this really made wcurl be what it is today. So the first one that I noticed was that on Hacker News, someone mentioned, ESSPA mentioned that it doesn't really work on non-GNU Linux systems, and it was because of the silly thing, it was the usage of get opt, so we fixed that straight away. Henrique 59991 suggested that we choose a default protocol as well for transfer, so that's a parameter that we set internally. Binomo suggested that we disable the first Binomo parser. We have Ryan Parsman, who is also a contributor, suggesting that we would set the default file name, and the name will be index.html, and that we will also first default the resulting file name. And this was really nice. So this one was a special one because we took our time to review it and think about whether we wanted this behavior. So the merge request took roughly 5 months, I want to say. I think it's 5 months that took between the merge request being placed and us merging it, and a lot of changes happened throughout the way. Daniel Sandberg provided a logo, really nice logo, by the way. And then Mythic Spirit, who uses Arch, by the way, suggested that we treat the lowercase o and uppercase o parameter to be used without void spaces. So all of these things made a lot of difference in wcurl, and these are all of these things I didn't think of none of them. So it was really made by everyone, you could say. So what's the availability look like today? The thing with wcurl is that the major convenience factor will come if it's installed with curl. The user shouldn't have to go after and install it, especially because it's a 300 lines judgment. So once someone starts shipping wcurl with curl, that's when the usage will really take off. And since one of the maintainers of curl on that, I started doing that since day one. And in Amazon Linux 2 and Amazon Linux 2023, wcurl is coming with curl since April. So that's April 2025, and that's because that's where I work. In pretty much every other distribution, it is shipped already, but it's as its own package, and we also ship it on even BSD and Homebrew, for example, even on Windows NC still. But now this is about to change because in the next kernel release, 8.14.0, wcurl is going to be installed as part of the kernel. So I think everyone will align in shipping wcurl together with curl, unless they don't want to do it. We'll see. But the reception for the distance meeting was that everyone was happy with this idea. So looking back, wcurl is a very simple solution, and it does one use case well. Is at the end of the day, you just need to download a file without thinking about any parameters. And the support that we got from curl developers was really efficient for the adoptions. Writing a blog post with the announcement and talking about it on Mastodon, for example, all the time. Even today, every time someone mentions wcurl, someone will reply saying, "Oh, I didn't know about this. This is nice." But at the end of the day, it is something very, very simple. So I feel like this was just something that was in the right place, in the right time. And what I mean by this more specifically is that I was doing curl, right? A lot of curl developers, really, really good programmers, and knows the ins and outs of curl, and having worked with curl for 20 years, maybe longer. Has it been more than 20 years? Yes, of course. This is not a new problem. I know everyone has thought about this at some point, and this is not a fancy solution as well. So I guess some time had to pass in order for this to happen. That would allow people to think about the alternatives more deeply, and I'm really appreciative of all the support of the curl developers. Another thing is that when we were working on wcurl, to spend hours discussing small details about it. So over weekends, we would have a call and spend 2-3 hours discussing how should we call the parameter that lets you set curl options, for example. And then we decided to stick to curl options. Originally, it was called OPTS, if I remember correctly. We changed it. But this is just one example. A lot of things required a lot of hours of discussions. It really paid off. Because now I can see that we don't need to worry about those decisions. And contributions from the rest of the community really made it. That there's some features of that approach today that were not there today. So what is next then? When I was writing these slides, I knew that we didn't perform a lot of testing on the way retries are handled. And so I wrote, could they be improved? And then I spent like 5 minutes just testing it, and I found a bug. So Sergio DJ is going to send me the article because I think this is something that might be fixed on curve. It's not clear. So he's going to create a PR, and then we can discuss there if this is something that makes sense. The current version of wcurl has pretty much 0 maintenance cost. We might not get any more releases. And talking about the pilot curve, it has been mentioned a few times. There are no concrete plans, although this would let us have fancier features. We could get things that wcat has, wcurl doesn't have. And there was a discussion on the curl, I think the curl library mainly is where Dan also mentioned he also had some ideas for something like this. It would make it more portable in a way, but also less portable, because now you need to compile the solution, and it's very handy to be able to just download the script today, and you have wcurl. So you can do it as a regular user on any machine pretty much. You don't need to download any dependencies. But if it happens, it's very likely that we'll coexist with the script wcurl because of how practical it is to just download. But that's if it happens. So there are no concrete to that. So I really wish I was with you today, but I had to attend the conference. So I'm here in Brazil. I'm in this paradise beach place. It's called Maceió. And who knows, maybe next Aurora conference we can do it here in the same place. This is a picture I took myself 2 days ago. Now I think we have some time if there are questions. Open for questions now.
Thank you for that. Any questions for Samuel about wcurl?
Why did it take so long to create wcurl? It's been 27 years of curl.
Why did it take so long? I think I am not the best person to answer that, because as I said, the code developers are far more skilled than me. They know a lot more about curl, right? And I know for sure they consider this. So I think my guess is that the answer is not simple, because it has certainly been discussed. And maybe it was really just the right time. After so many years discussing possible solutions, you go back and reconsider something that's simple, and you say, oh, let's leave this ago. That will be my guess, but I mean, I'm not the right person to answer that. Maybe you can have a discussion, anyone can answer on my behalf there.
Any more questions? Yeah, I have a question. Samuel, what occurred to me is maybe wcurl should have been named WHTTP. Will people be using wcurl for SMTP or any other protocol? Most likely. I mean, we could use we could have every protocol have its own utility with this approach, right?
Yeah, but isn't just the thinking here that it would be just a URL, right? So there's suddenly going to be others than just HTTP, FTP, for example.
Yeah. I mean, Unix philosophy of one tool for one thing. I think one of the problems with curl has been, we do a lot of things. And I've noticed that a lot of the new utilities like HTTP, Pi, all these are pretty much well on one. They don't try to be every network utility, every protocol.
Yeah, you're right, but they're also not. They do that also partly because they're not transfer tools.
Right.
But you're right. Maybe
we
I don't have the solution.
It's just a different interface to the same thing. It's just, but wcurl strikes me as a way of not necessarily using libcurl to create a new application, but using scripting and coming up with a more comfortable interface. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Samuel.
Yeah, but I think in this case, since pretty much this is an answer to the constant thing, but I'm using wget because it's so much easier because I don't have to remember anything.
Right.
And people who do that, they want to download the URL or the resource the URL identifies, right? So that's what this is.
So
that means
total drop-in replacement.
Total drop-in,
Yeah.
exactly. So just use wcurl instead of wget and then a URL because it doesn't really matter which tool you use. You just want to download that resource, and so it's not really an HTTP tool; it's a download tool.
Yeah. I would be interested to know about the use case of downloading things to HTTP or other protocols. I think it's a bit more rare, but I would like to see some use case of that in the wild. Yeah, I think part of what makes wcurl good is also the name, because it's also extremely easy to remember, right? So if you want to use curl instead of wcurl, it makes it really easy to remember.
Right. Any other questions?
Any other?
Right. Thank you ever so much, Samuel. I don't know what time it is there.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, but it was informative, and thank you very much. We're gonna break from here. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Well, that was okay, I think. Let's go.